We would like to recognize our facilitator for today's program, Ms. Jamie Silva, our Senior Manager for Marketing, DCE, and Social Impact. Along with Jamie are the wonderful local Filipino artists that Starbucks has had the honor of working with throughout the years. Anina Rubio, a sought-after visual artist who lovingly work on the mural painting you see outside. Her art focuses on beautiful paintings, murals, and her very own cast. We also have Aze Ong, a contemporary artist that specializes in working with fiber. Her art highlights history, culture, and her ecology around it. Her partnership with Starbucks started in the Hiraya branch in Tagaytay with her unique wall art installations. Tara Soriano, an imaginative multimedia artist that focuses on transforming blank walls into creative pieces of art. Tara also has a long-standing partnership with Starbucks. And last but not the least, Alab Pagarigan, visionary Filipino sculptor who created a beautiful, larger-than-life piece for the new Starbucks branch over at Bonifacio Global City.
So I have to admit, I am both extremely joyful and nervous because I'm really not a host. But I am a woman, and I'm extremely proud and privileged to be first in the presence of these four incredible Filipino artists who brought to life some of our iconic store designs. And second, to be in the presence of learners, the future of art. So learners who are striving artists, and to be with you and to be hosting with you as well. So thank you so much. Thank you again for celebrating International Women's Month with us. Starbucks is proud to champion this cause, whether it is gender equality in the workplace, whether it's supporting trailblazing women in coffee, women who supports community, social impact. We celebrate them and we champion them, as well as the men, I think I mentioned this, who empower and support women, and like Alab here. So thank you again so much. So because we are around art and we are celebrating all things art, why don't we start with, before we get into the questions around your journey, start with completing the phrase. For me, art is, and I will start. For me, art, like coffee, has the power to connect us all. So that is art for me. So anyone in any order?
Art for me is meditation.
Art for me is showing your soul and inspiring others.
Art for me is a way of expressing myself.
Art for me is life.
That's beautiful. And I think it's wonderful to hear the different perspective around art. And I'm sure if you've seen the art on our wall, you'll see that there's very different perspectives, right? So we'd love to hear about, I'm sure we all started somewhere. We all have to start with something. So what brought you to this moment? Maybe we can start with talking about inspiration and influence, beginning maybe with Aze. So Aze, we'd love to hear how your family inspired your journey. I read in your bio that early on, you had experiences as a child in your textile business, and you had an early exposure to indigenous communities. So we're wondering, how did that shape your perspective?
So growing up with fiber and fabric in the family, my mom started her garments business in our garage. So at 4 years old, I already know how to sew buttons on our shirt. And from there, I would lock it using around the world. And I would say, Mommy, I'll try to lock it, and I'll do 3 more around the world to lock it. And then later on, art brought me to different parts of the world. So that's something, I don't know, parang ano lang siya. Maybe when you're growing up, you don't know where you're going to go, but then these little incidents it's actually directing you to where you want to go or where you are going.
That's nice. It really shows the power of, everything starts in the home, right? So it's nice to hear that. I know Alab, you also come from a very artistically inclined family. I was watching your video for International Women's Month, and you did mention, no, in addition to your father and your brother, you had special mention about seeking inspiration from your mother and wife. So how does that perspective, or how does that help your perspective?
Growing up, having a painter na tatay. My dad is a painter, and I'm actually looking up to him. So instead of playing outside, my dad's always giving me papers, pencils. Don't draw on the wall, draw on the paper. So when I'm done, I'm asking my dad, Tay, I'm already done. Can I play now? Here, more paper. Just draw, draw, and draw. So it's not being forceful of him for me to draw, but at an early age, I really had that, acquired that skill, looking at him, how he draws, how he paints, and then yun pala yung way ng dad ko on how he can teach me how to draw. So growing up, my dad is a painter. During that time, 90s, early 2000, wala pa tayong social media masyado. No? My dad is really struggling on how to sell his paintings. So that's how I saw my mom. She is so patient with my dad. No? Hindi siya magnanag na, uy, wala tayong ulam, wala tayong pagkain, everything like that. No? But she just patiently waiting para makabenta yung dad ko, ganun. So growing up, sabi ko, it's going to be really hard for me on what to choose. If I'm going to choose art also as my career, but I really loved it. It's not my dad forcing me to do it, but I really loved it. So, sabi ko sa sarili ko, when magkaroon ako ng show, magkaroon ako ng exhibits, if I'm going to sell an art piece, sabi ko, I wanted to ilabas yung mom ko to dine out. So, I really wanted that to show her na if ever na hindi man nagawa ni dad ko yun for her. So, I really wanted that thing na manggaling sa akin. Yeah.
Thank you. So with Ace, it was like those indirect moments that she wasn't expecting. With you, Alab, it was already a calling from a very early age. How about you, Tara? I know that you studied interior architecture. You also studied gemology. So we'd love to hear from architecture to gemology. How did you get into painting? What inspired you or inspires you?
So growing up, I feel like I was very inclined to doing art. I would take little scraps of paper and like do little doodles, and I was lucky to have a lot of exposure with art through galleries and museums, and that accessibility. So from there, with family and friends being super supportive and super grateful for that support, it just helped my soul stay inspired and to continue, and that's how I found myself doing what I love for the rest of my life, hopefully. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Tara. Okay, Anina. With Anina, whenever I look at your art, it's at least clear, art is how you interpret it. And whenever I see your art, I see a lot of nature. So it seems like you are inspired a lot by nature. I would like to quote, though, what you mentioned during our shoot as well, that you are inspired not just by nature, but by human connection. So that really aligns with what Starbucks is all about as well. So, and that is clearly seen again in your art. So was there, in addition to nature, was there also a moment, like Ace or like Alab, a person that inspired you to be an artist?
So growing up, I honestly didn't put, I wanted to become an artist. I really wanted to become a scientist. And I think that's the creative side. Because, art is not limited to just canvases, right? When you bake, that's a form of art. When you dance, when you create new things, when you invent things. So for me, growing up, it was the scientific side that really sparked my curiosity. And I took up engineering. Fast forward to years in the corporate industry, and I was really stressed. I realized that I forgot to play. Like growing up, there's always a sense of play, curiosity. You experiment things, you dismantle toys and build something new. But again, growing up, I forgot to play. So when I was stressed, I wanted to look for a hobby that would make use of my hands once more. Then I realized when I started doing calligraphy or painting, that's when I somehow reconnected to myself, to that sense of play, to, like when I said I'm very inspired by human connection and nature, it's because nature is part of us. And sometimes, when we try to be adult about things, we forget that we are still kids at heart. And for me, that's what art does. It makes me continue to play and imagine and be creative and curious. That's it.
So, Anina, you've made over 300 murals. Confirm the number. Maybe there's more
Plus,
now, because that
yeah,
number
there's
was
more now.
maybe a few months ago. So 300 murals include, well, that supports community projects, sustainability causes, and one of it is what you actually see in this store. So there's a beautiful mural right outside and by the entrance, and this is called Brewing Knowledge in Blossoming Communities. It really does highlight your creativity and environmental consciousness. So again, you're very involved. So our question for you is, how do you feel your art contributes? So fast forward from wanting to be a scientist to dismantling toys. How do you feel your art contributes to the local community? What is ultimately the message you want to convey as an artist and through your art?
I feel that with every piece that I put out there, it's really bringing people back closer to nature and themselves. And, regardless of the medium, I am a very curious artist. I dabble with watercolor, acrylic, oil, and even textile. So if you see here, I made this. Basically anything that has to do with hands. But I feel that every time I put a piece out there, I am also holding space for the audience to relate to that piece, to interpret that piece based on their personal experiences. And that in itself creates an authentic connection. That art piece becomes an integral part of their narrative, right? So it's a continuous storytelling. So there.
Okay, so Tara, I know you've transformed a lot of blank walls as well into masterpieces. And one of it actually is a collaboration with Starbucks for our second community store in Maisilo, entitled Of Book and Bean. So thank you for that work. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yes.
But I wanted to ask, because you do work on murals as well in personal spaces, in personal homes. So as an artist, I'm just curious, because sometimes it's different when your client is the owner of the space and it's their home, and they want something, they envision something. How do you balance, again, as an artist, what you want to convey and their own vision of their own mural? So just curious.
Okay, I love this question. Thank you for choosing that for me. So I believe that doing murals for other people is basically like a dance. It's a relationship where you guys have a back and forth, and it's a nice collaboration because it celebrates everybody's individuality, which I think is very important. And it's just a great opportunity because you can really see the different personalities of different people, and you can really make it unique to each and every person, which I think is good because it shows the brightness of their soul and it makes the space reflect who they are, and I think it's really important to celebrate that. So I love collaborating with those kinds of projects.
And I love you mentioned dance, because I also know you love to dance. So yes, she is also a dancer in addition to a muralist. So thank you. Alab and Aze, is there anything you want to add? Like anything about, I suppose, ultimately the message you want to convey? Because your art is quite different from theirs, quite unique, where you work with different materials. So just wondering, anything you wanted to add in terms of the message that you overall want to convey in terms of your style?
In 2010, I started art. I started in the art scene, and nobody thought my medium, ganchillo, is known as craft. You make bags, you make bedspreads, you make cortina. Mag-code switch na ako dito. And people thought that who made those is the granny, yung mga ano natin, no, grandmothers natin. And fast forward now, when in contemporary art and the global scene, even here, it's accepted. So imagine 2010, I was starting and I was asking the galleries if I can have a show. And they would say, you're not doing art. What's that? To fast forward now, kahit anong gamitin mo, basta thread o kaya yarn or fabric, it's accepted. So I think what my work would like to say is that there are endless possibilities. So what you want to do, if it makes you happy, you just follow that and everything will be taken care of.
Thank you. Alab.
Yes.
Alab is the designer of an artwork, or shall I call masterpiece, called Roots in our Shangri-La de Fort. So you see it right here. I believe it is the first of its kind where we actually feature an installation using brass and copper wires. So, Ace talked about fiber as a material and that being a challenge at the beginning. For you, whether it's the message you want to convey, because your material is also quite unique. How do you feel that your choice of brass and wire enhances your storytelling, like
Yeah.
Ace?
This particular sculpture is made out of brass and copper. So why I chose those materials? Because I really wanted to show strength.
Thank you.
So given that material, it's actually a lifetime material. So I really wanted to showcase the strength, the stability of that material. And then I wanted also to create a connection between that sculpture to the viewers, trying to, no, not trying, looking at it. So I really wanted to invite them, the strength, although it is a coffee tree. Yeah, but with that kind of material, with that kind of intricacy made out of in these materials, I really wanted that not just the people looking at it to tell them that, wow, it's good, it's nice. No, it's not that, but also a message of the strength that if this material can last, maybe, or our dreams or our hopes and our things that are inside of us will also last. Yeah.
Thank you. I also wanted to show everybody, please have a seat. I think they can still see. And I think your note cards, which they probably saw already, is inspired by this piece at Shangri-La de Fort in BGC. So if you have the time, visit that as well. I also wanted to show Hiraya. Do we have that image? There we go. So Ace talked about fiber. So again, a very different material. So this particular installation is currently in our Starbucks Hiraya store, in our Tagaytay store. And again, has captivated many. If you could choose, I guess you talked about what the message is, so maybe I'll rephrase my question a bit. If you could choose one emotion that you want to evoke, look, this is a massive piece. So if there's one emotion that you want to evoke for many who have seen this, what would that be?
I don't think I can answer the question because when an artwork speaks to the audience and the audience speaks to the artwork, it creates a dialogue. And when there is dialogue between the audience and the artwork, however you want to interpret it or what is your interpretation, there's no right or wrong here. And as an installation artist, wherein I create environment, I create feelings, emotions, whatever you are feeling at that time is right. There is no wrong answer. But of course, for me, I hope that there is healing. When I made this, I don't think I can compete to the view of Taal Lake. No, I cannot. That's nature, and that's the highest for me, the highest form of art for me. But creating something like this, it's also connected. Okay lang magkwento na rin. Okay. So when I made this, and when I received the opportunity to create something for Starbucks, it's actually difficult for me to connect coffee, fiber, and art and installation. Especially I don't work with walls that much. However, I really like the challenge. So how did I connect it? Connect it to coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, by the way, but I did love the challenge. To understand coffee, I went to different Starbucks Starbucks reserve branches, and I drank coffee for 3.5 months. And then, when there's flavor that I taste, I consult the flavor wheel of Starbucks, and then if I taste cherry or something else, I look for it in the flavor wheel, and then it comes out to the work. So it's something for me. It's of course I embraced abstraction here, but then it creates also a feeling, but also a feeling when you drink coffee and you meditate, and that's the work for Hiraya.
Thank you so much. And just by the title itself, Hiraya, right? I think it kind of translates into almost close to magical. It's like a state.
Imagination.
Yes, your imagination,
vision.
or
Yes.
for me, it's magical imagination. Imagining something magical. It's very positive.
But it's
Um,
synchronicity also, because at first I didn't think of the title. I was just making the work. The creative process is you don't have any intention of how it would look like. The creative process is more important than what will come out. So it's a surprise also, but it's a very pleasant surprise when you just go with the flow.
Okay, so since we're still on the topic of mediums, and I'm sure as early artists, you're exploring different mediums, whether it's stenciling or water painting or oil painting. Maybe I'll pass on, maybe you want to add a little bit. Do you see yourself exploring? I know you're now into textile as well, in addition to painting. Tara as well, I'm not sure if you are exploring other mediums. Is there anything you want to add about being explorative and experimental? Or just sticking to one and then go with that?
Well, for me, I guess being a creative, you have to be curious. So there's no particular medium na I would say na you just stick to this one, but it depends on the person. Like for me, in my case, like again, I do watercolor. That's my first love. I do upcycle textile. I try to do everything. Like I say I tried pottery, but that's not for me. That's my personal hobby. I don't want to create a new career out of that. But for me, it's just being curious. Because with curiosity, you are empowering yourself to be more creative. So just feel free to experiment and make mistakes and try. Keep trying.
Tara, how about you? Are you looking to, are you now secretly trying different mediums that we should look forward to? Are you dedicated to your art? And I guess a follow-up question would be, what is your advice to the young learners who are exploring what medium they want to, I guess, strive in?
So yes, I do explore other mediums, and I feel like a lot of artists enjoy exploring and experimenting because mostly creatives have like a very curious soul, and constantly like figuring things out. I do want to tell everybody that you shouldn't box yourself in. You should always keep an open mind, and keep the fire alive. I guess figuratively and literally for me, since I also do weld like Alab, and I like experimenting with things, going to workshops, seeing what works for me. So I encourage everybody to just try and collaborate, explore, see what's out there. There's a lot of things that are offered. So just take a class, maybe bring your friends, go alone, whatever your vibe is, and then you'll see what sparks your soul. And then from there, just be led by that. And everybody's journey is always different. And I hope everybody knows that and not to be discouraged, because life is a story. It has different chapters, ups and downs. Just remember you're always going the right way and always trust in God.
Thanks, Tara.
Can I
That's
add
beautiful.
to this? Because I have a mantra. Because there's a perception that, when you fail, like you're not going to be successful. But my advice, to my younger self and to the future artist is fail. Like Fail. Fail. So F, like fail forward. Like again, make mistakes. Make a lot of mistakes. Growth happens in the discomfort. A is allow yourself to be a beginner. There's so much pressure for new artists to feel like, oh, I have to come up with a perfect artwork. So allow yourself to be a beginner, to play, to create without the pressure of perfectionism. I is inward, like look inward. What story do you want to tell? Like, I feel that if you create from things that resonate with you, your artworks become more powerful and more authentic. And lastly, L, learn. I always tell my students that the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop creating. So just learn. Creativity is an endless journey, so keep learning. Fail. Fail. F-A-I-L. Fail.
Let's fail together, right?
Let's fail together.
I know, let's fail together.
Fail forward together.
This is now the word where we gotta fail. Speaking of fail, we also have favorites. I'm gonna try to segue a little bit from the fail to favorites. The next image is Breathe Better by Anina. I think this is one of your favorite. So I'm sure you have many. Again, you have over 300. Tell us a little bit why you've chosen Breathe Better and this is in BGC.
Yeah, this is still in BGC.
Tell us why this is one of your favorites.
This is one of my favorite art pieces because it really speaks about what I value in life and how I want to see the world and how I want others to reconnect to nature. Because I feel that with development, we become more disconnected to ourselves. I mean, I am not separating ourselves from nature. We are part of nature. Even the patterns on our skin, our eyes. Okay, this is the science nerd in me. But I feel that, we always try to look externally for solutions, but the answer is always within. Like, our breath is the most powerful tool you will ever have to deal with everything the world throws at you. So if we cultivate that inwards and then eventually we set up an environment that fosters a good environment, where we can breathe better, then everyone else will be more compassionate, be more kind, be well. So that's it. This is my favorite piece.
And even for someone like me, not an artist, but even in the workplace, in a very stressful day, you know what they say, right? Breathe. Breathe in. Take a moment. Silence and breathe. And then you just automatically feel better and ready to strive again and go forward. So thanks for that. Now, Tara, I have to say, this is also one of my favorites of yours. So the next one is Tommy, I believe. There you go. It's beautiful. So yes, very, very interesting piece. Again, somewhat of a public but also personal space. I love the 3D of it. So kind of a different medium in a way when I look at it, a little different from what you normally do. Would you like to tell us why this is also your favorite piece?
So I love this piece because can I stand? Give me a second. Okay. Ready. This is definitely one of my favorite pieces because it speaks to my soul. As you said, I started with gemology, so my first love was actually welding and jewelry, up until I realized I just really liked the welding portion. And it has been a dream of mine during COVID to start making something again and think larger than life. And when I was given the chance by the client to explore this, originally they took me for mural work, which is what he liked. He liked my Instagram for, and then we connected because he found it funny that I would just dance. And then when he was talking to me during the ocular, he said, what else can you offer? It seems like you have a lot of ideas. And I approached him. I told him, it's been a dream of mine to start sculpting again. There's an artist that inspired me. I kind of want to do like horses. And he's like, horses? I love horses. That's my year. I'm year of the horse. Yes, make me my horse and let's celebrate one of my loves and my pet. And he wanted it life-size. So, I ended up creating Tommy. And I'm hoping to keep exploring this. And it's become definitely one of my pieces that I love, but definitely not the last.
That's great to hear. So going back, right, like exploring mediums, experimenting, again, it's beautiful. So congratulations on this
Thank
piece.
you, thank you.
Okay, so from favorites, we're gonna go back again to fail. a little bit. So I'm pretty sure, again, we started from that one moment, that one person, but I'm pretty sure throughout there are a lot of challenges and advice. Before that, though, I wanted to show this for you, Alab. It was going to be directed to you. So it's an image of your favorite, Hello Human. Beautiful. I think this is an undergrad. This is an thesis. So very early on, it seems like you are depicting the human body. And I wanted to quote, I suppose, one of the things you mentioned in your earlier interviews, if I'm not mistaken. This was sometime early in 2016. You said, and I don't know if you remember, though we may differ in status, we all have emotional experiences, hardships, and vulnerabilities, and that your existing body of work depicts subjects that tackle real-life scenarios like the death of a loved one, the joys of motherhood, and the budding of a romantic relationship. So it seems like since undergrad year, thesis, we still continue to see the same theme in your art today. In fact, I'm not sure if you noticed in his note card that he designed for International Women's Day, there is a heart at the center of the root. So you still depict this. So, and I really love that you mentioned that we differ in status. So can you share a particular obstacle that you've encountered, right? We're human and we have a lot of challenges. And how did you navigate through it?
Let's start from this image. This is my undergrad thesis, 2010. So I am depicting people. Actually, itong mga tao na to, nagta-travel kasi ako before I'm coming from Antipolo and then nagtuturo ako sa Makati. So I'm riding the MRT every day. So these people, I'm trying to look at people. They can be closer, as so close. Halos ganyan yung face nila, di ba? Dahil masikip yung train. But they doesn't know each other. But walang aangal kasi they need to ride it, right? So I really wanted to create those images in my sculpture. The people having their personal spaces, but yet nabibreak yon when they're inside that MRT train. So the fragility of the people, I really wanted to show in that part. So these are pure wires. So makikita nyo nagiging see-through yung ano. So parang pinapakita ko dito is as being on that train, parang nalilimutan natin na boss ako or mas mababa ka or kung ano man, wala namang mababa. But on those kind of individuality, nawawala yan. So, moving ahead, this is my undergrad thesis. So, ang tsura ng mga sculptures ngayon is meron silang skin. I added those so that I can now show emotions. Like the faces, even though everyone is closed yung eyes and everything. I really wanted my experiences now, what I've experienced. Just like should mention, 2012, my mom died. So my mom died 2012. So it's actually, of course, a very painful situation on my part because I really love my mom, and then I'm his favorite. Sa pagkakaalam ko, anyway. But those situations, I really
The only son? So you're the favorite?
No. But I really wanted to heal myself using art. So just like what Aze, it's about healing. So art can be a tool for healing. So bad experiences, emotions, angst, and everything, I really wanted to use those emotions, not to showcase it, but to translate it into hope. So those sculptures that I've created, I wanted to tell the audience, to have a connection with them. Aze is right. Every people, meron ka interpretation sa art na nakikita mo. And then, of course, definitely, yung artist, meron siyang particular na ginawa, emotion para dun sa ginawa niya. But in any other way, dun sa mga bagay na yun, artwork should be talking to the people visually. So kung ano man na-i-impart mo, ano man yung nakikita mo dun sa sculpture na yun, art shouldn't be just so good to look at. It should be something else. It should be more deeper than those things. So maybe it's so difficult to comprehend it. But when you are doing your art, if maybe it's just a simple art, you just copy of fruits on the table, ba? Kung ano yung nakikita mo, iba yung nakikita ng ibang people doon. I also kasi teaching toddlers previously. So it is so unique to look at them that this is something that you want them to copy. An object. Mas magugulat kayo, yung interpretation nila, iba yung drawing nila. So it is so, for me, it's so nice to see that because that's what you can see the imagination, the creativity of that person doing that thing. So going back to what I'm trying to show you these sculptures, very important for me is that gusto ko na may napaparamdam yung art pieces na nagagawa ko, not just makita siya ng tao na maganda or hindi maganda. Yes, yeah.
And you certainly make us feel that.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Alab. So, Ace, before I ask you about challenges, let us first congratulate you on your current and recent show, Kaloob, in PWU. And I think, and I believe that one of your favorite artwork is there now at that show. So here it is behind us. She is obviously wearing one of her works as well. So I just wanted to say that it looks beautiful. I also love, I have to quote you again. This is also from your bio. And I really loved what you said. So I'm going to read it a bit. So you talked about, I quote, the challenges of recognition as an artist. You mentioned this briefly earlier. As an artist with a marginalized medium, to the challenges of an international art practice. You also said that the most important step is the beginning. A loop, a hook, a knot. I guess in your childhood, it could start with a button, you said, right? And that you are guided by that light at the end, liwanag. So that's just beautiful. So can you share more about what you mean by that? That you are guided at the end by liwanag? Is it light? What is liwanag? And the challenges, I guess, and what brought you here today again?
Okay. I had my business before. And hindi ako successful dun sa business. Fail. And it's true. Anina said fail. When I failed, I found art. And I succeeded. Thank you. So, I was trying to heal myself. I was crying because I lost a lot of money. So I started crocheting again. And the hobby came back. And then I started creating works. I met Lirio Salvador, who became my mentor. And then he told me I was making art. I'm not really an artist. I didn't know I was making art. And when he told me that I was making art, I was the one who actually proved, am I really making art? But, with all the challenges, isegue ko na dun sa challenges when galleries didn't see it as art, I began to realize and feel that, no, I'm making art. So I finally believed myself that I was making art. And when I did, everything just fell into place. And I felt like I'm in my element when I make art. And kwento na rin, no? Like my father, it felt like umiyak ako talaga sa kanya. Sabi ko, Daddy, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Sabi niya, ng business. Sabi niya, anong mangyayari dyan? Sabi ko, I don't know. But this is my passion and I really would like to do this. So, my dad, with a very blank face, told me, Anak, gusto mo mag-ganchilyo for the rest of your life? Imagine that. And I said, yes. And then 6 years later, I got a grant wherein I would research in New York for 6 months, all expense paid, yay, because of the grant. So, finally, nag-iba na yung thought niya. So, sabi niya dun sa lola ko, Nay, alam mo ba si Ace pupunta ng New York kasi nagaganchilyo siya. So, sometimes it's difficult to comprehend something at first because it's something new. And when it's something new, andun yung challenges for you to naturally make others see that there is something there. So yun yung challenge. Sorry, inano ko.
No, no, it's fine. And I think that's a strong thing to say. Like, hindi naman ako artist. You know what? You have inspired me as well. I started to say earlier, I'm not a host and I'm also not an artist. And then I realized our individual crafts, whether it's an art, whether it's in coffee, we are all artists. So that really inspired me, and I hope that inspired you as well. So thanks. Before we get into Q&A, I'm asking all the questions, but I'm sure all of you, our media friends and our learners, have questions. I want to take a moment of gratitude. Again, acknowledge your work in supporting us for International Women's Month. So I wanted to applaud you for, I think it's there, but we are also going to show it here. Like what I mentioned, we started to do, this is only our second Fireside chat on International Women's Month, but Starbucks for many, many years have supported International Women's Month and International Women's Day because, again, we do feel strongly about inclusivity, gender equality, whether it is at work, whether it is supporting the trail women who brought you, for example, Guatemala, Antigua today, and for all the artists that have brought our store designs to life. And again, I will repeat, the men who champion and uplift. So really, International Women's Month is not about women. It is about everything that upholds and uplifts. And art, for me, sparks creativity and has the power to create a positive impact in our community, just as I hope we have today. So thank you, thank you. Are we excited for questions?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm sure our learners are excited to ask questions. Are we gonna go fishbowl or are we gonna go raise of hands? Fishbowls? Okay, we're gonna start with fishbowls. Can I address it to anyone? Or anyone can answer it actually, unless it's addressed directly. Okay, please feel free to just answer away. What would your recommendation and advice be for those who's still in the process of discovering their type of art? So a little bit about what we said earlier, finding their voice, their medium. Would anyone want to take that question again? Any advice? Still process, like, I don't know what I want. Do I want painting? Do I want sculpture? Go ahead, Tara.
I think we also mentioned this a while ago. Anina mentioned this. Stay curious, experiment. And that's why I mentioned connect and look at workshops, because I think it's not just all about you, it's about your connection and everybody. So the more you explore, the more you get to connect, the more you get to understand what speaks to your soul and what makes you feel like it inspires other people, and that way you can find a balance and discover where you want to go and take yourself.
Thank you, Tara. Okay, second question. A little bit related to what Ace said, so baka I'll direct this to you, unless anyone, of course, free will be to answer. How can I express myself creatively, even if I'm not an artist?
Sige, live your truth lang.
Okay.
Live your truth. If something does not connect with you, don't. If something connects with you, go ahead. If later on you feel like it doesn't connect to you again, then stop. So parang just find it.
And if I can add, again, take pride in your craft. Whatever it is. Creativity is not just seen in a piece of painting or sculpture. It could be anything. You can be a scientist and you are an artist.
I feel that the first step is to really believe in yourself. Because, like, if you cloud yourself with self-doubt, automatically, you're not gonna go anywhere. Like, it's really taking that first step na, okay, I can do this. Or at least, okay, I'm going to try. So, that's how you can create more pieces. Believe in yourself.
Thank you. And fail.
Empower
Fail,
yourself.
believe, and empower yourself.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Love the third question. We can all answer it. How can art help empower women around the world? Alab. Of course, I direct the question. How can art help empower women around the world? Or anyone of the artists can take this question.
A coffee tree will not bear a fruit overnight. So what is that about? So women, men, all of us something to do. We are dreaming of something, whether to be an artist or just to express ourselves through art. So maybe we doesn't need to generalize everything or maybe to complicate everything in our minds. So for example, you want something creative in your mind and you wanted to brought it out. Paano mo siya ilalabas? So one problem in art, there are so many solutions. So do not box yourself, well, maybe oil painting, focus ako sa oil painting, focus ako sa watercolor, focus ako sa ganito. No. Try to look saan ka magiging comfortable. In my part, I'm not comfortable doing things just on two-dimensional. So that's why I end up to be a sculptor. So I really wanted what I'm thinking about, put it in a drawing, but at the end of the day, I look at it, for me, it's kulang. So I really wanted to express my artistic concepts through sculptures. So doon ko nakita, no? But of course, each and every one of you, you want something. There's a creative juices inside of you that you wanted to release. So try to experiment. Of course, every time nagkakaroon niya ng failures. Pero those failures, dun mo naman din makikita eh. Doon mo makikita na, well, I'm not so comfortable with watercolor. Maybe I wanted something opaque. So maybe you will need to do some acrylics or do some oil paints. And not just those things. Maybe, it's also a form of dance. Or maybe it's a form of acting. Or maybe you can express it also in music. So do not box yourself in something that somebody else expecting you to be. For example, magaling yung anak ko kasi bata pa lang siya, nagdo-draw na siya eh. Gusto ko siya maging painter. So that doesn't mean na marunong kang mag-draw or yun yung hilig mo, is magiging painter ka na kaagad. Diba? So you can be somebody else who can express their creative juices through art. Yes.
Can I add to this? So for me, I feel that for the longest time, women have been shut off, pushed aside. But I feel that through art, art is like a bridge that, connects stories, tells narratives of advocacies. And as women, I've experienced going to a mural site with like lots of construction workers, and they are always surprised, like, why is like a girl painting a mural, like scaffolds and all. I'm like climbing scaffolds and stuff. So I feel that through art, women are able to have a voice. They are able to share their stories through a different medium and not just, be always like pushed aside or bawal magsalita, stay at home, do this, do that. So I feel that, art is very powerful. It has been a catalyst for change and empowerment. So for me, personal experience, it's really that.
Thank you. Who inspired you to be the artist that you are today? So backtrack on the first question. Maybe can you share some tips and advice, general tips, I guess, for aspiring artists? Alab, you want to take that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Growing up with my artist dad, not actually hindi siya yung totally, the skills. Tinuruan niya ako ng skills, but it's my mom who always pushes me to do what I really wanted to do. So more often, my dad is busy doing his painting, doing his thing to provide para sa amin. But my mom is always there. Pag ako yung parang nawawalan ng ganang gumawa. I'm looking at my paintings or I'm looking at my craft like, it's not good. No, my mom's always telling me, it's good. You will earn something with that.
Nag-iba yung boses eh. High pitch is good.
Yeah, because that's my mom. Yeah. So I really wanted to share to you that it's always started with you. If you want something, if you're dreaming of something, you need to do something para yung dream na yon maging reality. So whether meron kang parent or hindi rin sila nagsusupport sa'yo, but you find a way. Everything naman mag-fall in a good condition pagka pinupursu mo yung gusto mong gawin eh. So, I think, wag ka lang panghinaan ng kalooban. So, tama yun, sinabi nila, mag-fail ka talaga, lalo na sa art. Wala kang i-drawing ng first time mo na ang ganda agad. So, everything, it's a learning process from day one na nagawa ka ng art mo hanggang sa continuous evolution mo everyday nang gumagawa ka. So, dun mo rin madidiscover yung sarili mo na, wait, para mas okay pala ako, ito yung ginagawa ko, mas okay pala na ito. So, ikaw ang makakaalam dun sa sarili mo.
Thanks, Alab. Last question is in Tagalog. I will translate this, okay, for those. Kailangan ba na ang arts ay laging may meaning? Okay, so in English it says, does art always have to have a meaning? And I will try to answer this based on how inspired I was by the four of you. I think so long as it means something to you. Because it starts there. You never do art for others. It's what inspires you. It's what sparks your soul. It's breathing in and then expressing yourself, right? It's really what it means to you, because I think the more inspired you are internally, it will definitely show in your piece. And just as I appreciate art, it's like what Ace said, it's how I feel today. Like, even if I'm not the artist, I'm the one appreciating it. I'm happy today, oh, that art looks happy. If I'm sad today, oh, that art looks sad. So just as an artist, I feel so long as it has meaning to you, then the answer is yes, it has to have meaning, but to you first. And that's the most important. So, yes, did I get that right? Woo! Woo-hoo! I get an applause from the art. I feel so great. Okay, now I feel extra artful. Is that the term? That wraps it up, but we have a little token for... Oh, okay, Tara, go ahead.
Sorry, so just to wrap it up, because we are celebrating Women's Month, and I wanted to leave you guys with an easy acronym to remember, because everything is work-life balance as you get older, because everybody will always tell you, work, and then you get tired.
Study. So
exactly,
stressful.
or you're just studying. Artists will end up with burnout or art block, and you will discover those challenges. Yeah, you're nodding. Yeah, I see you. So art, act. Just keep trying, keep exploring. R, relax. Remember to let yourself rest, because that is also an art on its own, because it refuels your soul, and then you can get inspiration from there, which leads us to T, which is think, which that's when you come with new ideas, because you're rested, you're fresh, you're able to fuel that creative power in yourself again. And S, share. Keep sharing, because for as long as you connect, things will keep going. And if in case you fail, you know, just think about it like a video game. Every time you're going through a challenge, it actually means you're going the right way.
Thank you, Tara. So again, in behalf of Starbucks, you know, our president signed a little note for you from Noe. So it is actually your art that we're giving you.
Yay!
But with a little note. So thank you so much for the partnership and the collaboration. So, and of course to our learners, our media friends, and our nonprofit partners who made this event extra meaningful. Thank you so much. Picture, of course. An event is never without a group photo. Okay, so